Hey guys, welcome back to part two, A2D, Agree to Disagree. As always, I'm Michael. I'm here with Brian. We're going to get into the Western Conference playing, and this one is a little bit more, straight up. We know what's coming. There's no last case scenario this weekend, so BT. There's two games. There's going to be the Clippers and the Timberwolves, and then there's going to be New Orleans and San Antonio. So the first game, it's pretty straightforward, man. I think we're going to be pretty much in agreement here. We know what's going to happen here, but maybe you're going to surprise me. So let me know what you think, and then I'll go.
Yeah, because I don't favor the Clippers, but I don't hate the Clippers. I respect the Clippers. I think Ty Lue is a really good coach. I think Paul George is a baller. I think if they get Kawhi back, I think they're going to be a real problem that people actually need to look out for. But that's what it's going to come down to is Kawhi coming back for them. But man, Minnesota, the 7-8 seed on this side, why even have a play in 7-8 seed? Just let them be because those are the two teams that deserve it, and those are the two teams. Because dude, Ant Man just dropped 49. Carl Anthony Towns has his games. D'Angelo Russell has his games. So they have a nice little trio. It's not a big three by any means, but they have a nice little trio down there, and it wouldn't surprise me to see them get this game. And if they do, then all of a sudden they're the 7th seed. But I see those two similar to the East. There's two teams that kind of stand out, and for me, it's Minnesota and it's the Clippers.
Mhm.
The Clippers, obviously, a little bit more. I think they're deeper. I think they've had so many injuries, and they just find ways, and they're getting guys back. They just got Norman Powell back. They just got Paul George back. They get Kawhi back, like I mentioned. Then that elevates them to you don't want to see them in the first round if you're one of these top two seeds, which it's Memphis and Phoenix, your Suns right now. Right, those are the top two seeds in the West, and ultimately the question is, do any of these teams even have a chance to win that? Because cool to play in, you get to play in, but when you get there, do you have a chance? We spent some time talking about Brooklyn, and we talked about the seedings, and they might have a chance depending on those seedings. So in the West, I don't think any unless Kawhi is 100%. If they get the 8 seed, even then, he's not going to have his groove. He's not going to have his rhythm. Phoenix is too good, so I don't think any of them even have a shot really. The
Mhm.
2 seed though, the Grizzlies, honestly, same thing. Grizzlies are legit. They're gonna get Jaw back, and they're a team that is deep. They're just good. They're a young, up and coming team that knows how to. They play the right way. They spread the ball. They play defense. They hit threes. It's the modern NBA, and the Grizzlies, man, they're a problem. That being said, Kawhi, Paul George, if they're healthy, I think they would beat the Grizzlies if they were to get that matchup. So we'll see what the matchups come down to, and the health at the end of the day. Because John Morant, he's up in the air, even though they keep winning without him. But man, yeah, it's gonna be interesting. But yeah, I kind of go with the Clippers. I know I went on a little bit there, but yeah, I think the Clippers and the Timberwolves ultimately.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. The 7-8 seed at this point, with the plan, if the games are within like a game or two, and the series or the seeding is close between 7 and 10 or 8 and 10, let it be let it be a plan like that. When there's a 5 or 6 game difference between eighth and ninth, I don't really think that there should be a plan. They're clearly the second or the seventh and eighth best team.
Right.
And for them to have to, so let's say Minnesota does lose, Clippers do lose, they have to then go and play the winner of that other game. And dude, it's the NBA; anything can happen. And for their season to come to an end like that, I don't. That's where I don't agree with the plan. But at this point, it is what it is. I do. I know. I see why they're having it. It's for that weekend or whenever they play
Kind
the
of like the college feel, the whole one and done thing. Like you got all the pressure. And dude, the Pelicans, they got a couple guys. They got
yeah.
Brandon Ingram and they got CJ McCollum now.
CJ
If
McCollum, man. Yeah.
they get hot, if those two get hot, man, then that's a team that could knock off one of these teams. So we'll see.
Man, because yeah, I'm a Suns fan, man. I watched the Pelicans right after CJ got traded, man. CJ and Brandon Ingram, they took it to us. I mean, we were playing hard in that game, and the Pelicans just they played better than us. They outplayed us. So you're right, like that's what I mean. They can get hot at any moment and just light it up, hit their threes. I mean, it can happen. So I understand that's why the play-in happens. Now you mentioned the Clippers. You're right. I'm still pumping the brakes on Kawhi. I know everybody's like, oh, he can come back in the first round of the playoffs. He might come back after the play-in. He has not played ball. I mean, he might be in practice. He has not played in a basketball game at full intensity in over a year. And you're going to throw him into a series against either Memphis or Phoenix. You know, he's not going to be – I mean, if he is Kawhi as we know Kawhi, then, yeah, the Clippers have a good chance. But let's be realistic, man. I mean, that's going to be really tough for him to come out and have that expectation to come out and, you know, maybe average 15 to 20 points, you know, 9 rebounds.
But Kawhi has always been a guy. Sorry to cut you off. Kawhi's always been a guy that he knows his body. He don't go out there unless he's good to go, man. And playoff Kawhi is low-key different. Dude's got Finals MVP. That run he had in Toronto was nice, man. And in San Antonio, he's got Finals MVPs. He's got a championship resume. Dude is built to win, and he's so if he's healthy, then I don't want to play the Clippers if I'm one of those teams. That's for sure. That's all I'll say. I want to say I think they're gonna win, and I kind of do, but man, the Suns are just too. If that matchup, so that's the reason I won't say it, but man, I want to see that.
Here's my 2 cents on the whole thing. And yeah, I mean, I'm gonna sound like a homer, but they're gonna get the 7 seed because I do think they're gonna go into that game and they're gonna beat Minnesota. And then they're gonna go in and Memphis is a physical basketball team. That is going to be hell for a guy who's coming back and a guy like Paul George. I mean, that's gonna be a hell, honestly. They're gonna have to, that game is gonna go 6 or 7, and it's gonna be a hell in that series. And because I think the Clippers.
I like the Clippers, and if you're right, I'm on record right now.
So
Clippers.
The reason why I'm not too worried about the Clippers is because they're going to have to go into Memphis. And then if they win that series, let's say they win that series, then they're going to have to go to Utah, Dallas, Denver, one of these other teams, and then they're going to have to go beat one of those teams. And then, you know, if they're that lucky and they are that, you know, they're that fortunate to get to the Western Conference Finals, guess what? You're most likely going to run into a healthy Phoenix team who is probably going to only have played maybe 10 to 12 games in 2 series. And they're going to then now you have, and the second best defensive team in basketball. Have fun with that, you know? So I see what you're saying with Kawhi, but they have, if they win this game, if they win the play-in, they're going to have a hell of a time. If they lose the play-in, guess what? You get Phoenix, and Phoenix is resting. They're ready to go. Phoenix just almost dropped a 40-point lead the Clippers held with their deep bench against their key reserves and starters. So, I mean, Phoenix is ready to rock, man.
Right. And I think just like the East, it's going to come down to seeding, because those 2 scenarios that you just played out, if you're a Suns fan, I think that you should want them first, because if that plays out the other way, like you said, and the Clippers find themselves in the Western Conference Finals, by then they got a rhythm too. And by then, that star power of Kawhi and Paul George is just as good, if not better, than Devin Booker and Chris Paul.
I could see it definitely being 50-50 or lean towards the Clippers a little bit. The only thing I'll say is Booker and Chris Paul, other than those 3 weeks, have played together all year long the last 2 years. Kawhi and Paul George, how much chemistry do they actually have other than, you know, last year? They haven't played together in a year. Both guys have been hurt. How much chemistry are they actually going to have? How much court time have they actually seen? And you know me, I'm a chemistry guy. I'm an efficiency guy. You know, Chris Paul and Devin Booker are 2 and 3 in efficiency this year. I think other than Jason Tatum, I think is number 1 or something like that. It's just, and then you got Mychal Bridges, man. I don't see them being able to match up all 5 against our 5. You can't put their top 5 against our top 5 and tell me that
they're deep. The Clippers, they wouldn't be in the playoffs. They wouldn't be talking about them if they weren't as deep as they are. They got Reggie Jackson, Luke Kennard.
They're deep. They're definitely not a 7 seed.
They got Covington, Norman Powell. Dude, they're deep. They're good. If they get and Kawhi, and it's not like Kawhi's going to throw off chemistry and throw off efficiency. He's not a ball dominant player. He picks and chooses spots. He plays defense. He hits shot. Like he's not a guy to throw off chemistry. That's for sure. Kawhi Leonard.
It could throw off Paul George. It could. I'm telling you, man. Paul George wants to be the guy, and that's the one thing about Kawhi, man. Is Kawhi is the man. Kawhi is the guy. You can disagree with me, dude. But
no, I'm not disagreeing.
The Clippers are a top 3 seed.
Came to the Clippers knowing that Kawhi was there. They had a deal in place. Like Paul George didn't go there thinking I'm better than you. You just won a championship with Toronto. I want to play with you. I know you're the guy. I want to play with you. He's the Robin. Everyone knows he's the Robin. Paul George knows he's the Robin.
Yeah, I mean until the play when the Western Conference final game, Paul George thought he was the guy. And he was the guy. In that series, he was the guy.
Because Kawhi wasn't there, so he had to step up and be the Batman. And he almost was.
I don't think he is one of – I mean, I think he's one of the top 20 players in basketball, but I don't think he's – I don't think he's Devin Booker, Chris Paul, or Kawhi. Like, I don't think he's on that level. I think
he's a better two-way player. He's a better two-way player than Booker, for sure, to me.
Okay. Booker, okay. All right. I get frustrated with that because Booker has immensely increased his defensive talent this year. Ever since he came out of Team USA and played for Greg Popovich, and ever since Damani Williams has become the coach of that team, Booker has become a much, much better defensive player. He's not on Paul George's caliber, and I understand that. And I understand Paul George is a decent offensive player, but Booker is okay. You're going to disagree with me on this, but he might be the best shot maker in basketball right now. Him, Jason Tatum, maybe Kyrie, Kevin Durant when he's on fire. But Devin Booker, man, there's shots shots that he can make that there are not very many people in the NBA can make. Steph Curry,
Kyrie and KD will make anything Booker can do, those two can do.
But KD's what, 3 inches taller too?
And honestly, those two do it better.
I don't know. I think Booker is one of the top offensive players in basketball, and everybody likes to hate on him, dude. Everybody likes to hate on him. He's one of the best finishers in basketball. Like, he gets around guys. He just does stuff that, and he's one of the top efficiency players.
We got the prettiest shot in the game.
You can't be that high on efficiency if you don't play defense. And yeah, he fouls a lot too. He's one of the guards that leads.
Man, ask the homie Nick Wright about efficiency. He brought up efficiency. I got to tag you in it. I think I did. Like, all these players that are irrelevant have higher efficiency than a Joel Embiid. Like these, you're big on efficiency. That's your thing. I can give a shit about him.
I don't think Joel Embiid's even a top 5 MVP candidate because of that reason. Efficiency, man, when you're plus and minus, that tells you how many points more you score on the court than
plus minus is one thing. Efficiency is different.
Well, but look at Phoenix, man. They have not only the efficiency, they're the number 1 efficiency team on like both sides of the ball. I think they're number 2 on defense. And then if you look at their plus minus, or the highest plus minus team in basketball, and then if you look at the fourth quarter clutch rating, I mean, you just saw what they did to Utah tonight, man. They erased a 17-point deficit on the road against a team who was trying to play physical and was trying to win a division. And they erased 17 points.
We
against the Jazz, man.
We went with the plan, and we brought up the Suns.
I know.
So this is.
Well, it goes back to the Clippers. It goes back to the Clippers, dude. It goes back to the Clippers. I get it.
And it only comes if only in that scenario that you presented. If the Western Conference Finals, where the Suns and the Clippers were to meet up, that's when the conversation. That's when we have this conversation. But honestly, we'll see. We'll see if we get there.
Here's the deal. If they win this play-in, I don't see them getting to the Western Conference Finals. And I will go on record saying I don't see them beating Memphis. I don't see them beating a team like Dallas again or Utah. I don't see it happening. They
need Kawhi. They need Kawhi to advance.
They need him to have a chance. And even with him, I still have a hard time believing they're just going to turn it up and be this great fucking team. You saw Brooklyn when Kyrie came back from all the pandemic shit, or when Kevin Durant came
And
back.
there's so much, and that's the thing is there's so much different than Brooklyn. Reggie Jackson was balling, dude. They got guys, Norman Powell, Covey. I just listed them already. They are a way much a deeper team.
Things.
They're a deeper team, and when you add Kawhi, you could ease him in.
Okay.
Paul George can still be that guy for now if you need it, but I don't think Kawhi's a guy that eases his way in. He's not going to be on minutes restriction. He won't even go out there. He will not go out there unless he can turn up. And if he can, and if he plays, that's when I see them advancing. If he doesn't, obviously, then they won't. I think Memphis and Phoenix are too good, too deep.
I have a hard time believing he's just going to come on the court and just blow everybody out in the playoffs. Now, if he came back 10 days left in the season and got his legs underneath him, okay, I'm going to start talking about it. You know, he's starting to get the feel of the game, you know, all that kind of stuff. To come back in the first round of the playoffs and play against Phoenix or Memphis, let's be real, man. I mean, that's okay. Let's be real. They might even lose 2 games and not be in the play-in at all, or in the playoffs at all. But most likely they're going to get into a 7 or 8 seed. They're going to play one of these top 2 teams. Dude, Memphis is a scary team. You know, they are legit. They are. Another team, you know, they might have to go through Golden State. They might have to go through these teams that are just playoff ready, man, and that have chemistry and that are ready to rock. Memphis is a team that they have chemistry. So
Kawhi, and you're right, dude. You're right. But to me, Kawhi, he's just when you're a top 3-5 player overall, if he's healthy and he's 100% healthy, he's a top 3 to 5 player in the world, and that makes a huge difference. So that's why I say that. But you're right to have no rhythm.
Really big
he's
if
a
right
weird.
now.
He's always been a weird dude. So that's why I'm kind of like a little optimistic with him because he's never been a guy to do a minutes restriction, be in and out. Like he's either full go or no go. And if he's a full go, then I like the Clippers.
Yeah, it's a really big if right now for me. I mean, you read the tea leaves, man. You read the tea leaves. Yeah, he's starting to smile again and all this shit. The dude rarely smiles, but he's already talking about maybe moving on after this season. And there's some things, man, that I don't think he's coming back personally. But if he does, I can't just imagine him coming out and he just stomps on anybody he plays against. You know, he's going to have to go against a guy like Mikal Bridges or Draymond Green. He's going to have these really tough defensive matchups, and practice legs are not game legs. You can't just walk in. You might have to go against a Jarrett Jackson.
He's going to do his thing. They got to find matchups, man. They're tough. It's not just a one-man thing. They're not a one-man team. It's not like they're not like Brooklyn at all. They're like opposite. They actually play as a team. They're well coached. They play defense.
But look at the top 4 teams in the West, man. All 4 of them play extremely just stout defense.
Efficient.
What?
They play extremely efficient.
And they play. How are you efficient? Because you're dominant on the defensive side of the ball. And you know the Clippers. Yeah, you're talking about Reggie Jackson and all these other Terrence Mann, all these other role players. I think Kawhi and Paul George are their defensive gurus. And maybe like Nicholas Batum, you know, can get in on defense and stuff like that too. But dude, these other 5 teams, they come 5 deep and they come at you. And I don't see the Clippers being that team. I just don't. Behind those 2 guys, like, yeah, they have a decent role team, but I just don't see it. And I get shit on it all the time on Facebook and all these other social media platforms. I get it. I'm a fucking homer. I get it. I understand. Come after me, and you can come on the show. You can talk shit to me all you want. But the Clippers, to me, we beat them last year. I go, okay, Kawhi wasn't there, but they gave us Chris Paul wasn't there for the first 2 games either. And we still won those 2 games. And we still clinched that game in 6. They don't have Patrick Beverley anymore to hound Booker and shut Booker down.
It's just different, man. Kawhi is another level. We just say he's a top 3 to 5 player in the world. Nobody on those teams are like that.
If right now. That's a really big if right now.
You just said we beat them without him. I just said
that's a really big if.
It makes a difference. Without him, they don't have a chance.
But
with your best player and one of the best players in the world, you get better. Crazy.
Their defensive tenacity is not the same as it was last year. even with Kawhi on the floor. It's not. It just isn't. I mean, Patrick Beverley was their best defensive player because he is that little hound dog. It's not the same. They're not the same team
Kawhi,
as last year.
we'll see. We just gotta see. We just gotta see.
I think they're the
if he's
7th
healthy, and like you can't say that there's anybody even better defender alive with Paul George if Kawhi is healthy. The Claw, man, what does he have? 2 or 3 defensive player of the year?
If Kawhi is healthy, he's not. We don't know if he is. Like right now, he's not. Yeah, but I mean, everybody's like, oh, there's a possibility he comes back after the play, and oh, maybe he could. Maybe he can make a deep run. But he's just going to step on the court and just start shitting on guys? I don't believe that. I don't think that's going to happen.
It's a team game. He doesn't have to.
But the rest of the team is – you're talking about Kawhi. If Kawhi had come back 2 weeks ago, okay, I'd be sitting there saying, okay, at a 7 seed, yeah, they can beat Memphis. Dude, Memphis is not a shit-on team. They're just not. Dude, Minnesota is not a –
Kawhi plays, they're going to win. Take it to the bank.
They're going to win the championship?
No, they're going to beat the Grizzlies in the first round. Okay. If they get that matchup. Another if.
Minnesota could very well beat them in the play-in, and then the Clippers have an all-in game against like probably the Pelicans, and they could lose that game too. I mean,
it could be out if Kawhi doesn't play.
He's not playing in the play-in. They already said he's not playing in the play-in.
Right.
He might come back for the playoffs. Dude, I just don't believe in just.
And so might Ben Simmons. Yeah, I doubt. Honestly, I doubt either of them are going to play. At this point, it's not looking too good. But if they do,
and and one more thing. I know this is going to have a really bad send off here, but I do think the NBA should adopt a rule that if a player is. I think there should be a requirement in the regular season to play a certain amount of games to be eligible to play for the playoffs. But I understand. No. Hold on. I understand that like Kawhi, Ben Simmons, like these guys, like if they were healthy, the NBA would let them play because it makes for better basketball. It makes for better ratings, all that kind of shit. But I mean, like if they're trying to rush a guy like this guy back, say he's 90% healthy and they say, oh, a 90% Kawhi is somebody that should be able to play. Well, what happens if he re-injures that thing and he comes back too early, all that kind of shit? He's coming back from injury. It's not like he's, or if you let Ben Simmons play with a bad back, like what if you fuck up that kid's future, for the next 10 years or for the rest of his life for that matter?
That's why they got medical training staffs, man. Like if they're not cleared to play, don't play. If they're cleared and they choose to play, Kevin Durant, he tore his Achilles in the finals.
These are these guys employed by the team. So, I mean, at some point, the NBA should step in and say, hey, they should have NBA doctors being able to clear these guys. But, I mean, I understand. Like, if Kawhi's healthy, dude, I want to see him play. I honestly want the Clippers because I want to prove to the entire world that the Suns are the better team with or without Kawhi. And I think we are. I mean, 100% without a doubt think we are. I 100% without a doubt think we're going to, win the championship this year. I do. But I understand that at the same time, I am a realist. I have a really hard time thinking Kawhi is just going to come out and just start shitting on guys. And that's just not going to happen. I don't think that can happen. It can happen. I don't think it will. And, Minnesota is not a team to shit on either. So they have Patrick Beverley. And as much as I fucking hate that guy, he's a guy you want on your team because he is a guy that will menace your top player. And I hate the guy, but you don't want to play against him, and hey, he's playing against the Clippers, a team that didn't want to bring him back. You think he's going to have a little motivation? What do you think he's going to want to do to Paul George in that game?
He's too small. You down here, Paul George right over you, boy.
Hey,
he's right over
he's
you.
Still going to talk that shit and get in his head, man. That's coming. That's coming. He's too small for Booker. Fun, man. He's too small for Booker. I mean, Booker shit on him in game 1 last year in that final, but he came back and, he held Booker to, an average of 22 points in that series. So, and it made it tough on us. We still, game 6, blew.
Yeah, back around to the Suns. Let's get back around to them.
I hate Patrick Beverley, man. I hate Patrick with a fucking passion. But you know what? He's a good player, man. And that playing, that's the playing game to watch. Because I do think Brooklyn blows the doors off in the East. But that 7-8 in the West is going to be a fun one. especially with Paul George back. Patrick Beverly's probably gonna be a little motivated. Cat's motivated, Ant's
Go
motivated.
Clippers.
But I do think the Clippers win that game. They're the better team overall.
Come on, Kawhi. Let's get back, man. We want to see it.
We want to see you get swept.
Shit. Not if he's playing. All right, boys.
All right, buddy. All right, so yeah, guys, we're gonna let the play-in kind of happen here, and then after the play-in, we're gonna come back with brackets. So make sure that you guys, we want to know what you guys think. Obviously, everybody in the world is gonna disagree with me because I'm a homer, but that's what we want. We want to hear what you guys have to say. So if you're watching this right now, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, follow us on Facebook. Go ahead and leave a comment down there saying, Mike, you suck, you're an idiot, whatever. I can handle it. Let's go. I want to talk to you guys. I talk to you guys on Facebook. Let's hear it. All right. Let's hear what you guys have to say about the play-in, and go ahead and go watch the Eastern Conference, hear what we have to say about that. And until next time, Brian, anything else you got to say?
No, man. Playoffs coming up, man. It's an exciting time for hoops. Best teams in the world. They're gonna start going full force, man. So it's gonna be fun. Playoffs. We got prediction. We're gonna do our little playoff bracket. We'll even predict who we think is gonna win the finals. We already know who Mike's picking to win it all. But we're gonna see what the seedings are gonna be huge, and they're gonna be up in the air these next over the weekend. But after this weekend, we'll have a final clarification on the actual tournament, and we'll give our rundown, man. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, let's rally the valley. Let's go. All right, guys. Until next time, take it easy.